NBA Outlet Preview Series presented by OTGBasketball.com. Follow us on Twitter at OTGBasketball. And I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me, as always, Harris Wichard. What's up, Harris?
What's going on, Nick? Excited to continue our preview series. As always, we start off with tonight the 23rd ranked team according to our writers, the New Orleans Pelicans. And before we get started on our preview, we are always reminded that there's a lot more important things in life than basketball. So on behalf of the OTG family, we wanted to send our prayers and best wishes to Drew Holiday, Pelicans guard, and his family. His wife, who gave birth, is now facing brain surgery, and Drew will not be in training camp, will not make the opener and beginning of the season. So, obviously we talk a lot of hoops and we love to follow the NBA, but things in life happen, they get in the way, and I was devastated to hear that. I always liked Drew Holiday's game, seems to play hard every night. So it's just it's devastating news.
Yeah, our wishes go out to Drew Holiday and his family and his wife. Wish him the best, and hopefully everything goes smoothly and he'll be back playing soon.
Absolutely. So with that out of the way, we'll now get into our preview of the New Orleans Pelicans. I'll ask you this question. Anthony Davis, who we know is the best player on the team and one of the best players in the league, a couple of years ago, people were touting him as the next great thing, the next MVP. What's really stood in his way of going from being a star to a bona fide superstar?
I think this is simple. The simple thing that stood in Anthony Davis's way is health. He's not been able to stay on the court. When he's on the court, he's shown these flashes of greatness and what everybody said, future MVP candidate, looking like he was ready to be a top 5 player in the league. And, Davis hasn't been able to stay healthy. Last year he started slow, out of rhythm. It's tough for him, and, you want to see the success, but if he's not playing, you're not performing.
Absolutely. He had a game like not this past year, but the year before when they were the 8th seed and they made the playoffs. They were 9-32 on the road. They had one of the worst road records in the league. But they won 30 games last year. I think the year before that they were in the 40s, I want to say. But they made the playoffs and lost to the Warriors on their route to a championship. And Davis had some games in that season where I had never seen games like that before. I had never seen a guy go out, get 50, 20 rebounds, 8 blocks. He was putting up these numbers that it looked like he could be the best player in the league at some point. Like, people were saying that if they could draft a team right now with all of the young talent in the league, that Davis was the unanimous number 1 choice. So you had pinpointed the injuries, but again, this is a guy that's still young. And
yes, still young.
He's 23 years old. I repeat, 23. So he will be able to figure this thing out, and I like his upside a lot still. So they're always going to have a shot with him. And, you look at 2015 you look at the 2000 and trying to find this now. You look at the 2014-15 season, and this is a team that, I wouldn't say fulfilled their potential, but they won 45 games, and Davis had a lot of big, big nights during that year. So, you're looking at a guy that with this kind of potential, you can never count the Pelicans out. He averaged 24 last year, and only played in 61 games. So a guy like this can't miss a ton of games. But look at his games played since being in the league: 64, 67, 68, 61. You would love to see him north of 75 this year. I just don't know if it's going to happen. But a 24-10 guy last year, a 24-10 guy the year before, probably could be like a 27-11 guy. Blocked 3 shots a game 2 years ago. So he's got the whole package. He's 6'10", 250, moves like he's 6'6", 210. So he's got the whole package, and I don't think you could ever count out the Pelicans when you have Anthony Davis on your roster.
Yeah, you mentioned it, the health. I mentioned it, the health. Staying healthy, and, you said he played the 60-plus games, but also one thing with Davis, it always seems like he's coming out of games.
Right.
He play the first half, play a few quarters. So averaging 24 points is even more intriguing because he's not playing the full 4 quarters a lot of the time. But like you said, the potential's there. He still can be a top 5 player in this league. And with that on your –
And how about this? In that playoff series, you remember when they got swept. I was actually covering that series for you guys.
Correct.
He played all 4 games, 43 minutes a game, shot 54% from the field, averaged 31 and 11, and he was averaging 21 shot attempts a game and was 8 of 9 from the line every night. So he was a monster in that series. I mean, they lost, and they should have won at least one of those games when Curry made that crazy shot in the corner. But, like, this guy is a big-time performer in big-time games, I think. I think, that's really – I don't think that's really the problem. Like you said, it's health, and it's surrounding him with the right talent. So as we get into this preview, we're going to talk about what the Pelicans have tried to put around him.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to talk about that. They did do something really good for Anthony Davis in the draft, drafting Buddy Hield, giving that outside shooter, somebody to be that other scorer in New Orleans, take the pressure off him inside. Really like that pickup. What do you think about it?
We could also agree that now that we're at the 23rd team, this is the best player that we've spoken about so far. You might be able to talk about Cousins a little bit, but now as we get down to these 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, these teams, you're going to see that there's going to be stars on these teams, but what are they going to put around these guys? You just mentioned Buddy Hield, and I love this pick. I think the Pelicans now have put themselves an opportunity to be back in contention for the 8th seed because of the talent that they're trying to put around Davis. Buddy Hield is a scorer. He's built for the NBA. He's got a great body. He could defend. He could shoot. Buddy Hield is going to make an impact right away, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see him come in instantly and give them that offense that they need in the wing position.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They also have a second-round pick, Chiek Diallo from Kansas, power forward.
Yeah.
You know much about him?
Not really. I have to look at it, but let's see Pelicans roster. Yeah, not really. He's more of a second-round pick from Kansas. Nationality from Mali. So 6'9", 220. Played a little bit in the summer league, averaged 10 and actually rebounded really well in the summer league. So 9 rebounds a game in 29 minutes. So he's active. He's an active body. He's only 19 years old. Like you said, you played his freshman year at Kansas. So I can take a quick look at his college statistics, tell you a little bit more about him. But from what I see right here, it's more of just an active body, athletic, great build. Played 1 year at Kansas, so did the one and done, and it was a second-round pick. So raw body, but so maybe Diallo will give him some minutes off the bench, spell Ed Davis of some of his minutes. So maybe that's what they're looking for there in Diallo.
Yeah, and you figure he was the 31st pick, so that's the first pick of the second round. So
it was a third pick of the second round.
Third pick?
Yeah, third pick of the second round. Yeah, so 33rd pick of the draft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the third pick of the third or whatever, and you're looking at that, he's got to be pretty talented.
Yeah, no, he's got a high ceiling from what it looks like, yeah.
But let's talk about free agent signings. New Orleans was pretty active. No real big names. Chris Copeland, Lansing Galloway.
This is like a Make-A-Wish Foundation for the Knicks. I mean, Galloway went from the D-League to the Knicks. Copeland was playing like 6 years of overseas ball. Then he came to the Knicks. So these both guys will have something in common. Both guys could give you something off the bench. Both were undrafted. Copeland is been in the Copeland's been around for a while. He's like 30 almost, but Galloway's young. So those both guys could give you minutes.
And Galloway brings some nice energy and hustle.
Yes.
So that's always nice. They also picked up Terrence Jones, which somebody who kind of sat around in free agency, didn't get a lot of attention, which is interesting.
Jones.
And then and you figure Terrence Jones, though, you figure something's up with him because he didn't get much of any interest at all. And he's a solid player. He's a talented guy.
Yeah.
And like you said, Solomon Hill that they picked up from the Pacers, he kind of looked like he might have fallen out of the league last year, and then all of a sudden he picked it up towards the end of the season for the Pacers, had a nice playoff series. Now he's getting a nice contract, and he's living comfortably.
Yeah, Solomon Jones is a solid. Like you said, Terrence Jones, played on the Rockets, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he had some good seasons on the Rockets. His problem was injury, and then I guess there must be something up with him because he's a talented, athletic guy, can shoot the ball a little bit, can handle the ball a little bit. So it's kind of weird that he kind of didn't get any attention to free agency and then just kind of got signed for a cheap 1-year deal with the Pelicans.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. I agree with that. But they have, I don't know if I've seen this before. They have 5 undrafted players on their roster. Like, absolutely. This is a very young team, too. This could be the youngest team in the league. They don't have a guy that's played more than 7 seasons in the league. Like, Tyreke Evans is the veteran on this team. Think about that. Like, their leadership's going to have to come through Anthony Davis. It's going to be his team. He's going to have to be healthy. He's a number 1 pick. He's the guy. You know, that's going to have to – we talk about who's going to have to take a step up. I mean, I don't know if there's ever going to be a more obvious choice in that regard, because it's just his team. You just look at this roster, and it's like, yeah, Drew Holiday is going to miss some time, but then you got Tyreke Evans who shows flashes. There's just inconsistency everywhere, but they could put it together and be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned all the undrafted guys. It gives them a little bit of edge.
Yes.
You know, like these guys had to fight for that extra spot. They also picked up Etuan Moore and Robert Sacre. Etuan Moore, you know, had some good minutes in Chicago last year, so that gives them some more guard help.
Yes.
So they could use him. Sacre, I'm not sure why they signed him, but they need to fill up the roster spot. And re-signing wise, they re-signed their own guys: Tim Frazier, Alonzo G. Frazier had some big games for them at the end of last season. Alonzo G, you kind of know you're getting that athletic, big forward, and he can, run the break a little bit. Doesn't offer you much offensively shooting wise, but gives you a little bit of
Villanova product, Dante Cunningham. I think he's an underrated player in the league.
Yeah, he is an underrated player. Kind of just swoops under the radar, and he has some big games. You mentioned how they made the playoffs not last year, the year before that. And when Davis was out for those stretches, Cunningham really stepped up for the team.
Yeah, so if they had Holiday, but I think Galloway's probably gonna have to start now with Holiday out, and they'll probably do something like Galloway, Evans, Cunningham, Davis, and Omar Asik, Omar Asik.
Yeah, that could definitely see him going something like that. This is another team that might have one too many bigs.
Yeah,
because you look at Asik and then Davis, obviously, and then Alexis Ajinka, if I'm saying that correctly. You know, they're all 3 quality guys. But
yeah, you know what? They could also stretch Davis to the 5.
Exactly. You want to do that more. And he had success doing that. And now you have these 2 centers that are just going to sit on your bench and collect paychecks when it really makes the most sense to play Davis at the 5 in the NBA today.
Yes. But you know what? You still need that enforcer and that size. Like, it's okay. Like, Asik can play 10, 15 minutes a game, and you don't want to play Davis 40 minutes a night anyway. So Davis is a guy that's going to play his 35. He averaged 35 minutes last year. His career average is 34. So even if Davis is off the floor for 14 minutes, like, Asik is going to find his 20 minutes a game. So
yeah, no, I agree. I think they could find minutes. It's just like another thing with the contracts. They're just locking up money to players that you might not use when you need help elsewhere.
True.
And like we could see, they lost a lot of guys this offseason. They lost some talented players that did have injury histories, starting with Ryan Anderson, Eric Gordon. They traded away Luke Babbitt, Norris Cole. They let go Tony Douglas, James Ennis, Jordan Hamilton, Kendrick Perkins. I mean, some of the guys, obviously, no point in bringing them back. They replaced them with younger guys that are just as talented. But I think Ryan Anderson hurts.
That's the one I was going to say too. He really helps them, and he's one of the leaders on the floor. He's a smart guy. He can spread the floor. He's a veteran. I looked this whole list down. I said, you know what, Perkins, Hamilton, Gordon, whatever, those guys, and Cole. The only guy on this list that is not like easily replaceable is a Ryan Anderson, because he's a unique player. And where did he go, and what did he sign for?
He signed with Houston. The exact details, he probably signed around $20+ million a year. Can't remember the exact contract. Eric Gordon signed there as well.
Yeah, Ryan Anderson's a good pro, man. He's a good pro.
I think Gordon, when healthy, he had some nice games for them too. Back when they made the playoffs, he had a pretty good series against the Warriors, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did, but they lost all 4 games, though. So
yeah, true. But it's tough. But I mean, it's a risky signings for Houston to sign Anderson and Gordon, both guys injury history, and they don't really play defense. So, but
I also want to drop a quick stat that I thought's interesting. Anthony Davis, 3-pointers attempted in his first season, 0 for 6. In his second season, 2 for 9. In his third season, 1 for 12. Last year, 35 of 108. So the NBA is evolving, and if you don't adjust to it, you're going to get left behind. So, like you said, him at the 5, and if you could bring a 5 out to the 3-point line, you're going to expose a lot of defenses.
Yeah, I mean, not many teams have 5 good one-on-one defenders. So if you're opening up that paint, there's going to be some serious issues.
Yeah.
But talking about Anthony Davis, which New Orleans Pelican needs to step up this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to give you a backdoor answer here. I'm going to go straight to the main point. He's going to have to be the guy that they need him to be if they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, this is a team that won 30 games last year. They're going to be better. I think by default be better than they were last year. So I'll answer both questions at the same time. This Pelican team's going to be better. I think they can win 40 games. I think Davis is going to take that step up. He's definitely an all-star next year. There's no question. And as we get closer to the season, we'll give you both of our all-star predictions and season predictions and all that stuff. But Davis is an all-star. He's a bona fide superstar. As Walt Clyde Frazier says, he's on the threshold of greatness, and he needs to take that next step. And if he doesn't, they don't. If he does, they do.
Yeah, no, it's the easy answer, but it's the right answer. Anthony Davis, like we mentioned a million times, he could be a top 5 player, and he plays that potential, averages 25 plus a game, 10 plus boards. He gets those 3 blocks, extends his range out consistently, 3-point line. He's really helping this team. But if he does that, he still needs to stay in the court. And I think they need him for 70 plus games if they're going to compete for a playoff spot. And, they could even have him for 70 games and not compete. That's just how good the West is still.
Yeah. Bottom of the West is doable this year, though. Bottom of the West is doable.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's there. But I'm going to go with Drew Holiday. Obviously, he's doing the right things, staying out of basketball with his wife getting brain surgery. But when he comes back, if he can stay healthy, he gives him that other element, helps out Davis a lot, gives him a pick-and-roll partner as well. He's a lot better than the other point guards they have on the roster. And back in Philadelphia, Drew Holiday made an all-star game. So 2 all-stars on a team makes a big difference from 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And last year, it never really clicked for them last year. They started off 0-6, and this was a team with expectations. So they got blown out on opening night by the Warriors. Then they got the Portland and the Warriors again. Like, think about this, how to start a year, right? You're looking at a team that made the playoffs the year before, was the 8th seed in the postseason against the Warriors. And then in the first 3 games, you have to play the Warriors twice. And in the opening night, Curry gives you 40, 20-some-odd in the first quarter. And then in the third game, he gives you 53. I mean, that's such a debilitating way to start a year. And they never recovered. I mean, they got the high water mark they got on the year was 10-20. They were never better than 10 games under 500, for the rest of the year after 10-20. So they just never, they got, actually, they did win some games, some cool games in the middle of the season. I'm trying to look for some quality wins. It's hard to find. I mean, Detroit, Charlotte, Sacramento, they beat up bad teams. At Dallas was a good win. Davis had 31-14. But they just got off to that rough start. Like, I just feel like if they get out of the gate, I don't know who they're playing out of the gate, but, they get out of the gate a little faster. Look at this. They have to play Golden State twice in the first 7 games. I mean, who makes these schedules? This is ridiculous. But they got to get out of the gate fast. This is a team that's got to get out of the gate fast.
Well, and to cut them some slack last year, they had a ridiculous amount of injuries to start the season. I think at one point they were missing like almost all 5 starters. So, some of that's injuries, also just getting off to a bad start, new head coach. They picked up Alvin Gentry last year. I think there's going to be some pressure on him to obviously be a lot better than last season. So I think the Pelicans will definitely be better, more competitive. I think Davis will play more. Drew Holiday, I think, hopefully has a healthy season. And Buddy Hield will come on the scene, give him some more scoring punch from the wing spot.
So it's just crazy that they have to play Golden State again twice in the – I mean, those are like almost locks to be losses. I mean, I don't think they could beat Golden State. I just don't like the way they match up with them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't like the way anybody really matches up with Golden State.
I feel like the Spurs and Cleveland and, there's Boston might be – there's some teams that have those, chippy defensive teams, like we talked about, a couple of those coaches that this New Orleans team is not going to really stop many people.
Yeah, it's going to be it's still going to be a tough season. At least they got some young guys, and they'll have a chance at that bottom playoff spot, but they still need to get Anthony Davis some more help.
Yes.
And maybe some veterans too, not some super old guys, but just some guys who more experienced or great players and take the load off of him a little bit.
Well, if it makes Pelicans fans feel any better, I think they're going to win their first game. Their home opener on the 26th of October is versus the Nuggets. So I think the Pelicans are going to start 1-0 this year, and they did not get their first win until the 7th game of the season last year. So for all you people that think that 82 games and blah, 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 it's not the NFL, it's not 16 games, these starts matter. I'm telling you right now, these first couple of games and these 10, 12 games really matter, because if your morale is good and you get off to a nice 5-2 start, 5-3 start, it could really help you get the ball rolling. So don't sleep on the fact that first 10, 15 game is important.
Yeah, no, Harris makes a great point there. That early confidence. Basketball is such a game about confidence. So I think winning your first few games can make – and you can definitely steal them against a team that's better than you in the early games.
Yes. Like if they still – let's just say they beat Denver and then beat Golden State on ESPN on a Friday night, that could really roll them.
Yeah, no, things would be lit in New Orleans then,
Yeah, it really will. Listen, as if we needed any more reason to give them a party excuse. If they beat Golden State in the second game of the season on ESPN on a Friday night, that place might explode.
Yeah, no, especially if Davis throws down a big game. But talking about predictions, what's your prediction for the Pelicans this season?
38 wins. I think I'm going to be generous here. They won 30 last year. They were a 45-win team the year before. Again, I cannot put them in the playoffs, but I do think they're going to be better than 30 and 52. I think Davis will play 70-some-odd games, and I think they're going to have some cool nights like the one we were talking about. Maybe they upset Golden State, or they have some cool wins at home against San Antonio and Portland and the better teams in the West, Clippers. So, but I think Davis has a breakout year. I think Davis is going to be in the MVP conversation for the first half of the season, and they're going to fade a little bit. But I like them getting off to a better start, and I have them at 38 and 44.
Yeah, I don't put the numbers on it like Harris. I'm just gonna go with they're gonna miss the playoffs. They'll be around the 8th seed at certain points in the year, but it's just tough for me to see this team staying healthy all year because it's been such an issue. Maybe some of these young guys will do a little bit better in the expanded role, and I'll be wrong, and they'll hit that 8th spot, and then they'll lose to Golden State in the first round again. But
yeah, you know what? A good indication of what the NBA thinks about a team is by looking at how many nationally televised games they have, because that's what the fans want to see. It's an expectation of maybe how good they're going to be. And out of the 82 games, I'm looking here 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 or 14. 14 is not like the Sixers probably have 5 if I looked at it.
No, the Sixers probably have 2 or 3.
Yeah, so 14 is not terrible. I think they're going to be.
Yeah, that's kind of it's somewhere in the playoff team.
Yeah.
You get in 14 nationally televised games.
I'm very actually interested right now because you mentioned that 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Sixers have 7, so a little bit more.
That's surprising.
They're putting the Sixers and the Timberwolves on TNT. Charles Barkley is going to lose his mind.
Well, the Timberwolves make sense.
But the Sixers, put them out on a different night. Jeez.
I know. Put them on NBA TV.
Well, they only got one. The Sixers have one TNT game. One.
Okay.
And they have 2 ESPN games. But anyway, let's get back on.
I know. Okay, yeah, let's get back to it. But that is surprising.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised if you told me they had 0 nationally televised games.
Yeah.
But
the Knicks are going to have some games this year that they're on.
Yeah. And teams like the Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics, they're going to get games even when they're not good. Not saying that they're not going to be good this year.
Right.
But
the Pelicans are in a market that no one really cares about.
Yeah. So 14 kind of says a lot.
Yeah, it does.
But back to the preview. The emoji we got for the Pelicans today, I think the same one that we picked last year, Parth and I. And we're going with the hospital emoji. Like we touched on 100 times in the show, health, big deal. Big deal for Anthony Davis. Big deal for Drew Holiday. Team needs to stay healthy if they want to compete for a playoff spot. So
what was it? What was it again? Sorry.
The hospital emoji.
The hospital emoji. Well, so you're talking about the injuries, and there's room for some optimism, but you got to curb your enthusiasm. Shout out to Larry David there. And and realize that there's going to be some injuries, and this guy's body is, certain. I was talking to my friend this other day. Certain guys are just prone. Like if you look at baseball and football, and Mark Teixeira or Tony Romo or guys that have missed chunks of games. Derrick Rose, obviously, Knicks fans will know now. There are certain guys and their bodies are just prone to it. They'll miss some games, but hopefully not as many. And Davis this year, hopefully. We like him. I don't know about you. I like him a lot.
I like him a lot. I mean, I want him to be successful.
Yeah, I think he carries himself with respect. I think he's well liked around the league. I mean, he was in the movie with Ice Cube in the barbershop when he makes fun of his unibrow and stuff. So he's got a sense of humor. I think he's a likable guy. I hope he plays in all 82. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think 70 would be a good goal.
Yeah, no, I agree. 70, I think, is a good goal. Now we talked about the national games, but let's talk about the League Pass games. You going to watch the Pelicans this year?
Yes, I will. I like Davis. I'm going to tune in to him, and I'm hoping that this team takes the next step because I like Buddy Hield. I like Galloway. Copeland and Galloway are two guys I respect. As a Division III player myself, as we've mentioned, I've always liked the guys that are been counted out and then come back and make a statement. And Galloway's done that. Copeland's done that. So I like what they've done. I like Buddy Hield. I think Hield and Davis and Terry Evans, and they'll have some nice nights. And I think I'm going to tune into them more than a few times.
Yeah, no, for some reason I feel like I'm always catching, I think after the first run of games ends, you have those in-between games that are started Central Time. So I always feel like I'm watching the end or the second half of the Pelican games. That'll continue this year. Like you said, Anthony Davis, you always got to watch. And for some reason, even though there's a chance he gets injured, I feel like I'm always picking Anthony Davis in FanDuel.
And just to give you an idea, we talked on the nationally televised games and whatnot, 5 out of the 6 first Warriors games are going to be nationally televised, and 36 total. So if you don't have League Pass, you're going to see half the Warriors games.
Not to mention, some games that might end up just getting put on anyways.
Yeah,
they're on some sort of streak or run, set a record. Which, a lot of Warriors basketball. It's going to be intriguing. But
they're just going to be right in your face. But listen, I think the Pelicans don't really match up well against them, but it's going to be nice to see a guy like Davis. Because listen, the West is just going to revolve around the Warriors, and the Spurs are going to be there too. But the Warriors are going to be so good that anytime you go against them, it's going to be must watch, especially when you have a superstar like Davis potentially. I like to see how he's going to compete against them this year.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to bring the extra edge. They're going to be the most hated team in the league by the other 29 teams in the league. So, it's going to be good basketball.
Absolutely.
That wraps it up for the Pelicans. So hopefully they stay healthy, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thanks for listening. We're moving on to our 22nd ranked team next time we're on, and appreciate all the listeners for the preview series. Enjoy the rest of your day.